You're unmuted.
Okay, call the meeting order at 6 o'clock. Everyone's had a chance to look at the agenda. Motion to approve the agenda is presented. Councilor Warwick. All in favor? Carried. Delegations.
We've got an echo. We have an echo going on.
Yeah. It's delayed.
And the audio out on whatever is connected to the projector. Yeah. It's coming from the walls, isn't it?
I think it's up there.
Do you want to take a look, Councilor Olson?
He's coming.
It's
I
handy.
need it everywhere.
It's handy.
Yeah. Only when he uses it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I never had that happen before.
Something new all
What
the
happened when I
time.
was here that one day?
Any delegations?
No.
Public presentations? Ms. Wargo?
I'm not going to discuss the bylaws that are in view right now. I'm just going to discuss, I wanted to bring up some points about bylaws in general. Hanna was incorporated in 1912 as a village and then as a town in 1914. So I don't understand all of the corporation that makes us a business and how that works. But I was looking up Palliser and trying to find anything to do with UN that's got to do with our bylaws, because to me, they don't seem to be individualized to help the people in town. Maybe the properties and how they look and who your neighbor is, and maybe, but individual, like were those bylaws written for this community? That's what I wanted to find out. So according to the Palliser Regional Planning Commission's website, they are committed to sustainable development and has adopted the UN agenda as a guiding framework for its planning activities. So they will align its strategic plan with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and support its member municipalities in implementing them. So that concerns me because I didn't, I wanted to support the councillors here in good faith, not somebody that's not elected, not even from our country, say what every municipality in the world or whatever has to go by. And that's what's happening. And I don't know. I don't know how much of you guys realize the control. If you go through the Hanna, I don't know what to say, corporation or town, the corporation of Harvest Sky, Links, if you go through all the funding, all the groups, the Reimagine, Studio 2072, blah, 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 they are all connected to the UN. Why? Do we not have Canadian companies here that can help us do things? Why do we need to access information only from, and in 1994, municipal primers were given to all municipalities across Canada. These were the blueprints of the kind of policies federal government and UN wanted to see implemented on rural lands. So again, why? When these policies were they written for us as individuals to make this town better? Not, and the other thing, if you're following the news or UN, their goals and policies are disintegrating. They're falling apart. That's because people are waking up. There is a lady traveling around Ontario. She has been to Alberta talking to councils and making them aware of the fact that she's calling you guys board of trustees, not councils. So you'll have to figure out her on your own and look her up. So, but they are going to different councils and explaining the meaning of the corporations incorporated, what difference it makes to you guys. You know, are you board of trustees? Are you counselors that we elected? I don't know if you guys know the answers to that. So her name is Maggie Hope Brown, and she is traveling around Ontario, and she has several Ontario councils and Alberta councils who have changed their outlook entirely because of what she's explaining of the control, who's controlling this room. Is it the people that we elected? Is it you guys? And so she's just helping you find out that information, and she's a really good speaker. And I did just want to make one mention. I watched the last information meeting, and you talked about carbon capture as possibly something that our community could look at as an industry. Carbon capture is incredibly expensive to do, to carry out, to build, and the years it would take to come up with that construction and the technology to do it. You might hire some people, they won't, you know, they can't guarantee they're gonna be full-time, part-time, will they have benefits? Nobody can make those promises, but it was just something that carbon capture is like the PACE saying, you know, we're gonna bring down your distribution fees because we'll make these lines better. No, it's not, it's all coming back to us. We'll pay for that carbon capture, the taxpayers. The taxpayers will pay for any changes to ATCO power lines as a result of PACE. If there's a fire out there and they can't fight it, and it goes to Brampton, our airport, we lose more than we'll ever gain from the 13 megawatt solar plant. Thank you.
Anyone else? Adoption of minutes, organizational meeting.
Excuse me,
Yes, sorry. go ahead.
I'd like to make an amendment to the organizational meeting to exclude community.
And Bloom.
Hanna and Bloom. Yeah. It is
Hanna
no
and Bloom
longer,
is
it's
no longer-
defunct,
Yeah.
so there's no reason for it to be on there. So if that could be removed, please.
So the motion, Mr. Mayor, would be as amended.
As amended, yeah. Motion to accept the organizational council meeting of October 10th, 2023 as amended. Councilor Bowden. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Minutes of the regular meeting of council, October 10th. Councilor Olson. All in favor? Carried. Minutes of the information meeting of October 25th, 2023. Councilor Farrell. All in favor? Carried. Accounts payable. We have a chance to look through it.
Yes.
Councilor Bowden.
I had a question regarding your Southwest Media Group. I don't recall seeing that on before.
So Councilor Bowden, that's the corporation name for the Hanna Sentinel.
Oh, okay.
That's the company they operate under.
Okay. And I think this is on a different page. Thank you.
Okay, council accepts the accounts payable listing journal accounts, check number 42851 to 42886. And direct deposits from 002473 to 002556 for information. Councilor Murphy. All in favor? Carried. Statement of revenue. Councilor, oh, sorry.
I do have a question regarding the expenses for administration under advertising and printing. it's about $16,000 more than, what it is actual, like, I'm sorry, the difference between the actual and the budget. And so I'm just wondering, there's also another one in there, admin goods is about 5,000. Is it the difference just because there was an error in calculating the budget or some unexpected expenses that,
So the first one you had in regards to advertising and printing. So
Yeah.
there's a couple of things there. One, we need to do some reallocation to other areas.
oh, same
A
sort of thing?
little bit, but secondly, it will be a little bit higher than originally budgeted before because we were doubling up on our ads
Yes.
for a while because we normally prior to the Hanna Herald had the one ad. We did convert that to the ECA review for a 6-month period, but at the same time, we also said we were going to do the mail drop
Okay,
through
yeah.
the mail, so that was an additional cost at that point in time. And even once the Sentinel was up and operating, we did honor our agreement with the ECA review and kept going for a few months in addition. So,
Yeah, okay. I
so
recall that.
that's part and parcel of that one. The other comment on the goods, no, the budget was correct. What has happened is there was an overpayment to Bowerstone Computers. So it was around $6,000. So it shows as an expense there, but if you look up in the revenue side under general admin, the Bowerstone revenue came in as a check to reimburse that overpayment. So
It's just catching up with.
yeah.
Yeah, the rest was the same sort of thing as far as recreation and the fairly substantial difference or discrepancy between the budget and the actual, so.
Yeah.
That, I think that's fine. I same, actually, parks goods or the parks contracted vehicle repairs. There's a $7,800 difference and, parks goods, 7,826 discrepancy as well between the budget and the actual. And so I'm just wondering what got wrecked and,
Well, I don't know if anything got wrecked per se, but vehicle repairs are vehicle repairs. And we do budget an amount annually, which we hope will be suffice, but sometimes you run into situations where you got to make some repairs to keep the vehicle operational. So that dealt with that. And sometimes, and again, with goods, sometimes you end up buying more stuff than you need to as you go throughout the year. So we try to hope that it's close, but sometimes we will overexpend, sometimes we will underexpend. So
I was just wondering if it happened to be, sort of a mower got wrecked or something, and if there's some way to oversee or to prevent that, like more training for students and such.
No.
And things, and recoveries to operation within parks as well is a 21,000 difference.
that's water. So
Oh, okay. That's the increase for everything.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think that's everything I had.
Also,
The one, the VIC contracted services, was budget 1,200, spent 30,000. Was that us assuming Harvest Sky would look after it?
So, yeah, so we assumed when Harvest Sky, when we made the agreement with them to operate the VIC, we agreed to cover any shortages in their operation. And we were hoping, because we've been successful in the past, that Canada Summer Jobs would cover a significant amount of their employee wages. But as we know, no one in Hanna got any Canada Summer Jobs funding this year. So that's the big jump. I think it was 29,000 was the net cost to Harvest Sky.
Yeah, that's it.
anything else? Motion to accept Statement of revenue and expenses report October 2023 for information. Council Farrell. All in favor? Carried. Budget overview.
I have to bring that up.
Yep.
Yeah. I have a question, or a comment, page 2. It's just an adding error, I think. And, under streets and roads, that, $208,900 was not included in the total of actual expenses on both sides. So the actual total of, the actual revenue is, a lot different.
Well, the net operational cost, yeah. So, yeah, we just, Council Bowden pointed that out, we just made it, there was a line missed in the Excel spreadsheet on that sheet, so.
So the total should increase by 208,900.
Yeah.
On both sides.
Do we need to amend that?
We can, we'll certainly make that
Yeah.
change now, but we can certainly say as amended, so.
And I'm sorry, I have another question. On page 3, regarding the visitor information booth, the expenses of 40,691. But do we end up paying for all the ice cream and stuff that went in?
No, so Council Bowden, that goes back to Councilor Olson's question.
Okay.
So that 40,691, 29,000 of that is the payment to Harvest Sky.
Right, and so the difference between
The
that,
difference between that is, so we pay for the insurance,
All the
the
other
utilities,
associated
repairs and
costs, okay.
maintenance, flowers that go on out there, all
I'm
those
sorry,
things.
yeah, that's what I was curious about. Thank you. That is all.
Anything else? Motion to accept the budget overview for 2023 for information
As amended?
as amended. Council Bowden, all in favor? Carried. Senior administrative reports.
Mr. Mayor, a couple things I just want to point out. So as you see in my report, we received notice that we failed the municipal indicators thing, which concerned me when I first got it. And as you said, I attached to your report. So there are 13 municipal indicators. Most of them, you know, very solid indicators, whether it's your audit, ministry, intervention, tax-based balance, tax collection, population change, da. But number 13 is interest in municipal office. It's an indicator. And so we had our by-election in September of 22. Mr. Thurl was the only one to put his name forward. So we failed that indicator because we didn't have more people than, you know, so it's, you know, and you saw my response back to them that I believe it was a one-off. We had our 2021 municipal election and we had more candidates than we had positions for. In fact, it was a by-election, I'm not sure, but we had one. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. If we're gonna fail one, that's the one to fail, so. And I'll let the fire chief give you an update on our rescue truck.
Supposed to be here at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Delivered by Commercial Truck Solutions, so we're looking forward to getting that and getting it equipped. I'm not sure how soon it'll be on the road. We gotta move some radios and do a few things and go through it, and equip it properly before we start using it. I do have in a photo op opportunity that we're looking at for Tuesday, November 28th in the morning at 9:30. That we'd like to do a bit of a photo op. I think we should get it on our social media feeds, and Special Areas is interested in doing that with us. So if any, invite mayor and council, if any of you can, or all of you. 9:30 on Tuesday, the 28th. Maybe Noni can send out an invite or something tomorrow. If that's possible. Just at the fire hall, get you there, get some pictures along with the special areas board, I believe it is. I'm talking with Mr. Christensen, so
Did they fix the deficiencies or did they just give you a big discount?
I hope they're fixed. Haven't seen it yet. When Brent, myself and Rob Palmer went down to do the final inspection at the factory in, I guess, mid-October, there was only 35 deficiencies, which may sound like a lot, but that's extremely low. We've had some engines with what, 80 some deficiencies. Mostly minor stuff that was more our opinion versus their opinion, which they agreed to fix. We had two major issues. One was mechanical that they'll fix, or they will have fixed quite easily. And the other was a preference on the way the back seats in the rescue were. And they agreed to modify them. We'll see if we like the modification when it gets here. I've seen pictures, but until you actually go sit in the truck and see what it feels like. One thing that really impressed me, and this is a Pierce unit, which is the first time that we've ever bought a Pierce, first time that Special Areas has been involved in buying a Pierce. Most of our trucks are Rosenbauer. So one thing that was real impressive was the paint, quality of the paint. We usually find probably half a dozen to a dozen paint defects. And Brent couldn't find anything wrong with the paint or the chrome. So, and he moved it out in the sunlight to make sure that just the paint process seems to be really a lot better than what we were seeing from some of the other suppliers over the years. So that's encouraging. Ask me in 25 to 30 years what it's like. I'm sure it shouldn't be my problem, but whether somebody 20 years from now is happy with the quality of the work or not, we'll know. But question?
Funny you bring that up, because when we delete stuff, it goes very little money exchange, and bad stuff,
Yeah.
very big money exchange.
Conveniently.
Yeah, it's funny how they work that when you want to make a change. You had a question, Councilor?
Yeah, I'm just curious. So Dave, do you have all the equipment that you need to put into this, or do you have to, is that going to be another added expense for you to a bunch of new equipment to outfit this?
We'll be buying some stuff, mostly brackets and getting things made to hold equipment, stuff that you can't really tell till you get the truck here and you go to put something in and go, okay, wait a minute, we need to have this modified or go get something made. And nothing you make out of aluminum is cheap or out of stainless.
Mhm.
But no, for the most part, it's moving the existing rescue equipment off what we have onto the new truck. We did allow for some loose equipment in the budget with the truck, and we're coming in actually very much on budget on the truck. So we're gonna have some money to put towards that. And there'll be things when we start putting stuff on, which I'm sure they're gonna want to do tomorrow night at 7 o'clock at equipment check. There'll be things that we'll find that, okay, we need to go get something made here to fit this a little better, and mostly preference things, but no major equipment being purchased right now.
Awesome. Thank you.
Part of the problem was, well, our other one's 20 years old, actually now 22 years old. And the fact that it was starting to be overloaded
Mm.
because of you just keep adding stuff for 20 some years onto your rescue truck. New things come out all the time. And as you find a place to put them, you're not removing anything. And that was part of the trouble. Our existing truck is an F550, so it'd be like a 2-ton truck. Our new one is a full M2 Freightliner 3-ton truck, full-size tires. So we're moving up to the same chassis that our engines are on, the exact same chassis. The other big improvement was going 4-wheel drive, because we're always going out when it has freezing rain or snow to car accidents. And we had a 2-wheel drive rescue truck that sometimes that presented a bit of a problem, right?
That's
So
awesome. Huge upgrade.
Yeah.
That's good.
should be a good unit for beyond my problem time.
So I don't know if there's anything else, Mr. Mayor. Everything, Kevin and Michelle's reports are moving along fine. I just wanted to give you just a quick update. So Lori Armstrong is back in the country. So she's back with her mom. We're hoping to see her tomorrow. She's been away just over a month, and Katie's done a great job filling in. And I know Lori's been keeping on top of things from over there in terms of emails and answering questions and reaching out. But be nice to see Lori back here again, and we're hoping that's tomorrow. So we'll kind of be back to normal. But if there's any questions anybody has, I'll do my best to answer them.
Councilor
I have a question regarding the PLSD water supply.
Yeah.
So who pays for that?
For which?
Hooking up the water and.
So the town right now is retained our engineer to look at options for that site because the water line ends and sewer as well end kind of mid-block by Richards Welding and very shallow from there. So probably if PLRD wants to look at putting in town water and a sewer system there, it'll most likely require them to put a lift station in. And that costs on the, we're just trying to come up with some options that we can present to PLRD that they can consider moving forward. I know that they've had some, there might be some opportunities for us, and we might cost share some of the water line stuff if it's an upgrade and it's a looping connection, but we haven't seen the plan yet. The other thing too that PLRD preliminary is looking, and there would be a number of steps that would have to occur, but they did purchase the land on the south side of the road. And they are having some challenges with some of their teachers finding accommodation in town, and they were preliminary wanting to look at whether that could be an option for teacherages to be placed, whether there's ready to move buildings that could come on, that would be on there. Certainly, there's a whole process with land districting that would have to be go through if they wanted to do it, but lift station might then work for both sides of the street and tie in. So we're just getting them some options to consider moving forward. Once we have the options and we have some discussions, then we'll, obviously be back before council with the plan. And if there would be any cost sharing costs between us and them, what they would be, and then let council provide us direction from there.
So that would, well, it would still be PLSD property, so there would be no tax revenue. from it.
Correct. Yeah, that's one of the unfortunate situations is they are exempt.
And I think this is kind of a trivial thing. The hub sign will be coming off shortly from the building.
Yes.
It's just that I think it's been confusing for anybody that might be looking for something. And is there any information that's going to be going out to explain to people looking for the services hub provided?
Well, the services the hub provided, two of the entities are still in existence, being Harvest Sky and Chamber of Commerce. So they're their own entities. So they, as far as I'm concerned, it's their responsibility to let people know where they're at, what they're doing, and get that information out there. So.
So, Mr. Neal, I had one, oh, sorry, Sam.
I'm done, sorry, I'm
Okay,
sorry, I'm
that's
done.
okay.
Council Rowland?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I was just also on the business hub. This wasn't quite clear when it said the conditions of the sale of the town on building have been removed. What is happening with this
So.
hub then?
No, so there was, with the offer to purchase, there were conditions that the purchasers put in, one being financing. So they had to make sure they could remove that condition, so that was the primary one. So the conditions have been removed, meaning they have their financing and the sale will proceed, so.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the clarity on that.
Yep.
Any others? Brent's just giggling, no snow yet, don't have to plow.
No, the plow's back up now.
Yeah, but don't have to plow.
Yeah, the weather's been nice to us. I don't really have anything to add. Other than we did find a service line leaking this morning. So we will be digging and repairing it tomorrow. Over on 4th Avenue West. So yeah,
Major failure or anything, Brent, or?
we're not too sure. I think it's been going for a while. It's just been leaking into the sewer system. or their sewer system, so.
Yeah.
Just today, the gentleman phoned me on Friday, so we did some investigating today, and you could really hear the leak, and but it didn't come to surface because it was going in the sewer system.
There's a strange bubble up on Third by Lutheran Church as well. It is kind of started to pop up, and we shouldn't have any frost or anything yet, should we?
Where at?
Where the, you know, where the Lutheran Church is, and there's duplexes just to the north of them, there, out on the street there, actually, well, closer to the duplexes. I noticed it, actually, my wife noticed it on Saturday when we went to the Delia, farmer's market, and so I started paying a little more attention. It's probably 4 or 5 inches, about the size of, well, maybe not quite across the 1,000 shape, but rectangle, but it's fairly large.
I'll have to go take a look.
Yeah, sorry, buddy.
Well, I'm trying to think, there is water there, most of it runs in the alleyway, so there is that little jog. Down the street, down to Donald. It's possible, but.
Yeah, no, it's just appeared in the last,
If it was just appearing, there should be water. coming
Yeah.
out, If it's that big.
yeah,
So the asphalt is heat?
yeah.
But there is
But
a
there's-
huge water seam that goes. through
Oh,
there,
no, and
so-
yeah, it's been there forever.
Yeah, I'm not, like I say, if the pavement's starting to lift like that, generally there's water coming out. But we will definitely look at it for sure. It just makes, as you can see, I'm probably redder now, so
Sorry, buddy.
water's not mixing.
You know, water's good as long as you don't see it.
Exactly.
Councilor Phil?
There's a question about some of the spots that weren't fixed by the asphalt.
Yep.
What you're planning on doing to make them a little smoother.
Well, the boys have been out with the grader and added some stuff to them already.
Yeah, I've noticed some, there's a couple of seniors were asking because their little chairs just can't maneuver through them all.
Well, it's one of those things that the pavers just got too far down and,
Yeah.
or too late in the season. They're out on 36 right now and they're
Yeah.
not doing it because they want to be doing it.
Yeah.
It's because they have a contract. Their biggest worry is as it gets colder, the pavement will fail. And then they're gonna be the ones blamed for terrible work when it's,
No, I told them,
Mother Nature.
you'll get to it. But like I said, I read the notes there and.
Yeah.
let them use it.
We'll keep monitoring it and having to
Yeah.
add material.
as it stays warm, once we get snow cover, we'll be able to level that
Yeah.
off.
Like I said, if they have any other issues, they just come to the office here. and-
Yeah,
Yeah, if there is a real bad pothole that creeps up, just tell them the phone and we'll go top it off.
So I also have another question.
No.
We had a request, or I had a request, regarding, the access road to, Co-op and the old, Public Works. And about if they could do anything to make it a little bit more smoother than it is
No,
now.
we've been grading it. The problem with that road is they would like pavement.
I know, but they would like, but whether or not there's maybe the actual trimmings or
Well, we've added millings. We've added, this year alone, probably 6 truckloads on there. So that's 60 yards of milling on it. We can, like Braden's been maintaining when we go out, it's just, if you add too many millings, it starts to washboard, then it makes it worse.
I think it is washboarding, because I had gone on it the other day and that might be the reason why.
That's what was happening by UFA. The more we added and by the water treatment plant, the more we added, then it got washboardy, so you have to add it fairly thin and let it pack. Again, I know I say this, Special Areas is been talking with me. Their plan was to do Fox Lake Trail with the new millings or their Japanese pavement they're doing. And Sean has talked about doing UFA, and we're trying to get prices to redo in front of industrial area. The problem with it that we have is we don't have our manholes and water valves at surface, because then you can't maintain the road.
Okay.
So if we put expensive layout on any kind of pavement, now we gotta dig it up to flush the sewers.
Yeah.
And stuff, so unless we actually pave it where we can bring that to surface, the manholes to surface, which is too costly
Yeah.
at the time, but I'll look at it again, and if I can send a note if it needs to be done, we'll go back.
Okay. And if there's any opportunity with that dust controller, that test product you guys use, I'm not sure that dust was an issue out there or not. I think it was more the holes.
It's starting to washboard, and like I say, the more we add, the worse it gets, because people tend to get around the corner and then they floor it, and it
Makes sense, yeah.
makes the washboard, but if it needs maintaining, we'll try to get it before.
Okay, thank you. That's all I was asking.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You know, motion. What's such the administrative report, 8.01, 8.02 for information. That's a call with quick hand. All in favor? Carried. 9.01. So I guess that's my forte. The Red Deer River Municipal Users Group has been discussing the possibility of an additional on-stream storage. So basically another dam. I mentioned it last time as well. And they're looking for support from the town of Hanna and just an official notification. We've talked to Nate, Nate when he was the agriculture minister. And that was, unfortunately, he's moved on to a bigger portfolio. So now we're with Mr. Sigerson, and so it's a challenge. This is something that will be years and years and years down the road. So we're just looking for a letter of support from the town of Hanna to support the rest of the group ongoing. It was kind of interesting when we first started talking about it at the group. Everybody had an opinion as to where it should be and what, county established wants it. And of course, I'm near and dear. I think it should be somewhere in special areas. And then we finally come to the conclusion that basically engineering will tell us where it's most optimum to put the reservoir, regardless of what our opinions are. And so basically, we're just looking for a letter of support from the town to go forward with our request. Questions? Councilor Olson.
Can you, I mean, give a Cole's notes as to, I mean, the purpose of the dam? Like, we always talk about how we're not using our licensing. to
Yeah,
clean up
so
water.
basically, the way the Red Deer River works is, and I'm gonna use very layman terms,
Perfect.
we're obligated to give Saskatchewan X water out of the Red Deer River on an annual basis. Right now, we're giving them 5X. So the thought process that we're using is we can retain that water and better manage it. Ultimately, we're relying on the Dixon Dam to control the entire flow of the Red Deer River. And so if we can have a secondary storage facility and as far as recreation and so on and so forth, we think we want to retain as much water as we possibly can. As most of you see in the Red Deer River, at times this year was very, very, very low. So we're just looking at ways to maybe better service the areas along the Red Deer River, be it irrigation, be it better recreational facilities, so on and so forth. So we're trying to keep as much water in Alberta as we can. You know, it's interesting. I was golfing in Laughlin, Nevada, it was probably 15 years ago. And I have a bad habit of when I'm looking at a putt, I like to get all the grass and dirt off the golf ball. And the marshal pulls up and says, "Sir, you might not want to do that." And I kind of looked at him, like, I do it all the time. He said, "Well, that water's been through the system 17 times." And I went, okay. That was my first experience with water conservation and how near and dear it is. So yeah, it's something we've looked at doing. We had a gloves off wild ideas. Somebody suggested we pipe from the Mackenzie Basin down here. Somebody suggested we use the XL pipeline and pump water from the Red Deer River, or from the Red River Basin back here. There's lots of wild ideas and stuff, and so it was a gloves off. pipe dream, whatever you wanna call it, ideas and this year, we've hired a group called, oh, I'm gonna mess this up. Smart Water?
Water smart.
Water
maybe?
Smart.
Yeah.
And so they've stacked 3 drought years back to back to back. And right now, our worst 3 years we've had the last 35, I believe it was, we could still maintain what we have. But for 4 years, 5 years, is where the concern starts to come into play, so. That help you?
Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah, thanks.
Councilwoman?
It would be nice to have more material to, look at as well. Is there any printed material that is available as well? or-
In regards to,
Well, it just, when they've got some more ideas that are a little bit, I'm all for trying to preserve our water. I think we can also use, conservation within our town as well. In certain areas, just because we have it doesn't mean we have to go through it. But, yeah, it'd be nice to,
I could get the copy of the Smart Water report.
it'd be nice to have some feedback as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, that would be nice.
Sure.
Thank you.
So recommended motion, the town of Hanna supports the Red Deer River Municipal Users Group in undertaking the immediate sustainable lobby with the Minister of Agriculture and Irrigation, Mr. Hartson, and ministers as required as an attempt to secure funding in the 2024 provincial budget in the beginning of a study of an additional on-stream storage facility on storage on the Red Deer River. Motion, Councilor Olson, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Budget meeting.
So, Mr. Mayor, we have a couple of options here. If we need to have a budget in place to expend dollars in 2024. So there are a couple options different municipalities use. They sometimes will adopt an interim budget, which is generally their year's previous budget. And that allows them to make basic expenditures and keep business going as normal until such time as an approved budget is presented. But if we do want to target our December 12th council meeting for budget approval, we'll need 2 to 3 meetings with council to go through the budget and refine it, and so it's able to be brought back to council on December 12th. So if we were going to do that, I was looking for dates the week of November 27th. If there was an evening that week that worked for everyone, then the following week, we would need 1 to 2 meetings in that week to be able to meet our target deadline. If not, if that we can't come to agreement and everyone be able to attend those meetings, we can do option 2 and basically have council approve an interim budget on December 12th, and then look at scheduling actual budget meeting dates early in January, or a time there to bring it forward. So those are the 2 options. I'm looking if there are dates that would work for council during those 2 weeks.
You said evenings? That'll work.
Well, typically that was the direction we had from council last year, was evenings work best.
Yeah, because week of the 27th, third day, I'm booked for 2 days, 27th, 28th.
Tuesday, the
But
28th,
evenings are-
Tuesday, the 28th evening. I
Is that-
prefer.
Yeah, either evening for me, I guess.
Any issues on Tuesday, the 28th evening?
So on what time would council like to start if we choose that night? 6? 7, like you, whatever works for you guys.
6 is
6
fine.
works.
I'm okay with 6.
So Tuesday, November 28th works for everyone? Okay, there's one.
Here, I just-
And what about the following week? I like to give council, rather than
Try to pile it all. in
pile
three.
it two on that first week, I like to, as council's aware, the first meeting will be me presenting the information that's in the budget. Then you guys will have your package, you will go home, and I, want to allow you guys appropriate time to go through it and identify any questions, concerns, issues. So I would like kind of to just do that one on the Tuesday, and then if we could do,
So the next Tuesday.
Yeah, Thursday, Friday work better for me next.
Yeah, because we got a pep meeting and.
Yeah, that whole week I'm out. There's nothing
Like
left.
4th, 5th, 6th weekend,
Yeah,
a week.
I'm on overload. We have lots of meetings. So that week is absolutely a no.
Are we still having an info session the day after the budget meeting? On the 28th?
on the 29th, yes.
Okay.
So with the exception of Councilor Warwick, is it 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th work for everyone?
No,
It,
6 doesn't work, well,
6 does not
4th,
work.
5th, 6 does not work for me.
Okay.
7th and 8th, good.
Well, the 7th too, we have plans,
Seventh
the
is Christmas.
Christmas party, staff council Christmas party.
I had-
Or if we're doing it at 98th, will probably work.
It's a Friday.
Friday night.
It's Friday. Yeah, that's
well, I was gonna go the other way. I was
Yeah.
gonna say the 3rd.
third.
Sunday?
The 3rd of December?
Yeah,
That's a Sunday.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah. That's all right.
It would work for me, but
Yeah, I won't be here, that's why I can't be here.
That works good.
It's a terrible idea, but I can make it.
Yeah.
So sorry.
I'm an Acorn, Oak Island is on at 9 o'clock on Sundays, and
well, we could do it in the afternoon.
that's,
on
I'll
Sunday.
do afternoon, but you're not taking away my Oak Island. I
No,
waited all
thank
year
you.
for this.
I'm opposed.
Yeah, I am too. I gotta
I
spend time with my family.
Exactly. It's my days off. Sorry, I'm jam packing
That's
during the week, but not during my weekends. I need rest. Sorry.
So the other option, Mr. Mayor, we could still do the 28th. But then we may have to approve an interim budget on the 12th.
Yeah.
And then we could set up meetings following that. If there was some time after the 12th and before Christmas, we could do a couple there, or even one the first week in January, and then the budget to the January meeting.
Sure. What's wrong with December 19th? Will that work
I'm Henry Kruger.
in the evening?
Mhm.
Okay. How about the 20th? Or January, I'm okay with January too. I think there's a little bit more flexibility in January.
The second week in December, the 13th to 15th,
Yeah, those would be options too.
the Wednesday on the 13th.
13th or 14th of December, does those dates work?
Yeah.
Big country meeting, don't we? Vern?
Yeah, that's right too. It's on,
Is that in the
13th.
evening?
Yeah.
Too?
yeah, set.
Pardon me?
Is that in the
5 o'clock.
evening too?
Yeah.
Cool. Lots of meetings. I
So
know.
14th of December,
14th will work.
14th works for me.
Sure.
hey,
December 14th?
So why don't we set those two meetings
Yeah.
then? And then following those two meetings, we'll certainly get direction from council if there's a need for a third one. And then we can set, a third date at that meeting. Does that work for
Yeah.
everyone?
So it'll be 6 PM on the 14th? Is that what we're talking?
Sure.
Okay,
okay, so we can get a motion, special council meetings be scheduled for purpose review the 2024, 2026 operating budget for the town of Hanna as follows. the November 28th and December 14th at 6 PM in the council chambers. Motion, Councilor Thurl. All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
Sorry for speaking so candidly there, Mr. Mayor.
No, it's fine.
Well, good for you. Really?
I support you.
Thank
Spend time with your family when you work a week.
you.
The family's important too, but Oak Island is really. I'm not the only
Entrance
one.
sign.
So, Mr. Mayor, just bringing this back, as you, as council's aware, the 3 town entrance signs were replaced, this summer. The decision to remove the proud to be the home Nickelback off the signage. We didn't put any, we talked about not putting any additional signage on there. There has been feedback from residents and from others that they think we should put that signage back on. So following some of the controversy, Harvest Sky Economic Development Corporation and Mark Dakota got a small working group together to looking at developing a Nickelback promotional plan, for lack of better terms, and Mark shared that with council at the last meeting. Certainly the plan hasn't been endorsed by the band at this point in time, so we don't want to move too far down the road, but I think it would be nice, as I say, in phase 1 to at least deal with the signage. That would be phase 1. Phase 2 is a bigger picture in terms of trying to create a tour in town of our murals and some other sentimental spots to the band that will, in theory, draw people off of the highway, draw them into town and spend more time in town and perhaps shop and spend some money while they're in town. So that's the next phase. But the first phase would be, consensus and decision from council to put the signage back up.
Do we want to put the tour sign up now?
Well, part of me, Mr. Mayor, is looking at holding off on that just until we get everything finalized with them. I do think in one form or another, we will have some sort of tour. How big that tour is and how elaborate that tour is in terms of the band's involvement will be up to them. But I do think we need to try and capitalize on our existing murals in town and draw them in. So I think at minimum, they would be part of it, but it might be wise to hold off on that until we get, everything
The basics
signed
in
off
place.
from the band to get all the I's dotted and T's crossed. But that's the theory that could be a very logical starting point for a tour.
Any other thoughts? Okay, hearing none.
Just
Oh.
maybe wait, Mr. Councilor Olson,
Oh, sorry.
he's coming back, I do believe. I don't know if Councilor Olson has any thoughts on this, on adding.
We grossly misjudged the importance of the location of those signs, for one, so I'm totally, for putting them back.
Okay, motion to council authorize CEO to have the proud home of Nickelback signage added to the 3 existing entrance signs and to have the signage on the west electronic sign be changed to reflect that Nickelback tour starts here. Motion. Councilor Bowden. Favor. Very good.
I wonder if, can we just, for the sake of the gallery, mention that the signage going back to the original, like to our large entrance signs will be done free?
Sure, High Signs, who made the signs, have offered to donate that additional signage to be placed on those 3 entrance signs.
Thank you.
telecommunications structure policy.
So, Mr. Mayor, this is, came through in discussions through our, land use bylaw that, we know that the feds have the authority for, telecommunications towers. But we felt it was important to have a policy that guides what the process is, how the process works. If an application comes forward, how it comes forward, what information is required, and what public engagement processes are followed, that we are then able to, or council is then able to make a informed decision on concurrence or non-concurrence and be able to respond appropriately to the federal government department responsible for the approvals with our concurrence or non-concurrence. So there was some of this stuff in the land use bylaw in the 2012 version. And so it's been removed from there, and now we're asking council to adopt it as a policy.
Ultimately, with the communications tower, with CRTC, would be like the Energy Commission where the AUC, they're gonna try to tell us what they're going to do.
Definitely, there is a process for engagement and information, but ultimately, and the town will have the ability to provide concurrence or non-concurrence and rationale why. But at the end of the day, it is their decision, so.
But we would have, without this policy, would we not still have that as an option, or do we need to have this policy to have that option?
We would still have the option. This just provides the guiding principle as to how we
tools.
would move forward if a request came forward.
Okay. Just the tools to deliver the message then, basically.
Yeah,
I do honestly find it difficult that we are elected to help the citizens have a town that we manage. And yet they can come in and go, we're gonna plunk this down, we don't want it. Well, too bad. I find we lose our own independence and autonomy. And I really struggle. I struggle. I understand why the folks who mention stuff about that really is difficult, because this is, at the end of the day, someone will go, look, they got, cell phone towers right in the middle of downtown, and they won't want to come here, and it won't be our fault. And so I wish we had more autonomy. It's too bad.
What are you today?
Development officer,
Okay,
put on that hat.
development officer Dave.
My comment is, that's why this policy is necessary though. For me as a development officer, to put in a condition or to try to deal with it, they're not gonna pay as much attention to this body of elected officials putting in a letter of opinion or whatever you wanna call it as to, or other suggestions, hey, instead of here, could it go here? I think you guys carry way more weight on it than it coming out of administration. So that's why I think the policy is important and why it doesn't fit in the land use bylaw anymore.
Would that then not be a good idea to have one of these for power facilities, for wind projects?
Yeah.
So that we are potentially able to say nay a little more strongly than we can without becoming an independent, whatever that's called, so we can go to the AUC and be a voice that no one hears. Maybe.
yeah, it's an option.
I know it's
Yeah.
adding
If you want
policy.
to join the
which is-
come on up to the table, Tracy.
If I started a big kerfuffle, I
yeah.
apologize.
Quick response, with the cell towers in particular.
Yeah.
The feds have set up this very particular process to involve municipalities. Unfortunately, the province has not set up such a procedure for the things that they
Because
approve.
AUC is provincial.
This
but
is a federal,
telecommunications is
and with
federal.
telecommunications, they've, that CPC -2, that
Yes.
specifically says you have to do a minimum amount of consultation. If municipalities, if you want more, put it in a policy document that you want more. So the feds have taken we want more input than less. Doesn't mean that they listen to it, but they've at least made it mandatory and allowed municipalities to have some autonomy in how those companies have to be engaged.
So like going through the motion, basically, and they're gonna do it.
Well, the one nice thing, like if you read the CPC document, and what the requirements are through cell towers, it's actually quite stringent. And so for example, they have to hold a certain amount of public consultation sessions, and every single comment they get, they have to respond to it. They have to write a letter back to the person who gave that comment. So it's a very involved process, and the feds do read all of that, and then like, why didn't you answer this sufficiently? And until you do, it holds up their application. So they've made it a pretty stringent process.
Are any of them overturned?
I'm not familiar with the decisions that come out because I've worked on a couple of applications in different municipalities. It takes years to work through it. It's not a quick process.
And I believe the cell tower companies who are looking to establish them in a location, especially in an urban location, have a pretty good understanding already of what will be acceptable and what won't be acceptable. And they work from that point, but the policy document provides direction on where and if they have a location where we could question them and push them back to. I think potentially what might come from the AUC, the moratorium on renewables right now might be something similar to this that comes out that might provide some more guidance and direction for landowners, municipalities, et cetera, moving forward as part of their approval process.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, I understand where you're coming from, you want to make decisions for your community.
Yeah.
And that's understandable, but we also unfortunately live at the premise of the federal government and the provincial government through their legislation, so.
But this is to provide us with some protection.
Yeah, well,
And some option, and I'm just coming out
Yeah.
to rural Alberta and saying, I'm going to do
Yeah.
whatever I want, regardless of who's living where.
yeah,
I think there's a lot of strength in a council issuing a letter of non-concurrence and saying, we have a policy. For example, we won't accept lattice towers that are erected in a schoolyard. If you say that this is our policy and we non-concurrence, I doubt that it would get approved anyways. It would be,
Well, we've
Yeah.
got so much open space. Why have it in a municipality at all?
so when in working with the cell phone companies, when they do when they look at their service, generally there's a 60-meter radius of where they get the best service. And if you move it off of there, then they're not. So they're putting in, they're acquiring land, acquiring leases, putting in the infrastructure. And if it's off by 60 meters, then they're gonna look at it completely, then they may not put it in and you're just not gonna have good cell service. They'll go elsewhere and put in a cell tower where it's easier to put in and they get better service. So there's some limitations to where they can go for getting the best
To get the
service.
optimum result.
and I think that the challenges that you see in most places where they are adding more cellular towers, it's in communities that are growing. And obviously the population's growing, demand is growing. We're pretty stable footprint. So unless something changes tremendously in terms of how they operate, I don't know if there will be anything moving forward, so, but
at least you
at
have it in
least we're
place.
prepared if something does move forward in the future.
It's not just cells either.
This is just.
Is it just so this one?
Well, that's the way everything is going. How many landlines are there around? And so,
That's great. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it.
yes, thank you.
Motion to council adopt policy 2023-02 that telecommunications structure policy be come into effect January 2024. Is there all in favor?
So what's this policy gonna say then?
It's
attached.
We've got it.
It's written.
But there's options to amend it at any time.
Oh, it's a policy, 100%.
Yeah. So we-
Do you see what you're looking for, Councilor Crowell, or?
Minimize the number of towers. It's quite well written, actually. It's pretty definitive
Yeah.
of
Okay,
support.
if you're not comfortable, then we'll,
We don't have to.
okay, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, carried. Oh, 0905, operating budget amendment.
So, Mr. Mayor, couple of things as we move forward here, that I'm hoping to get, approved from council on. So one, and I'm gonna defer potentially to Councilor Olson, because he's the IT expert. But, my understanding from both Lori and our IT support is the gateway equipment we have in our facilities that allows our systems to connect, was installed by Netigo. Netigo, as they are transitioning out of their business, are not going to be supporting this equipment in the future. So we've got done some research and have an estimate of approximately $16,000, which will allow for the purchase and installation of new network gateway equipment in all town of Hanna facilities that need connection. We were initially looking to bring this forward as part of the 2024 budget discussion. But we did have a really good deal offered to us on the preferred equipment, in terms of a reduced cost, as well as providing us with an additional 2 years of warranty coverage or coverage on the operation of them from 3 years to 5 years, if we were able to move forward quickly. So that is one. Councilor Olson, did I mess that up, or can you explain it better?
Oh, you
than
didn't
I
mess it
can?
It's basically when Netigo installed internet, they looked after everything in behind as well, all the equipment. Whereas TELUS taking it over, we all know they do your internet, then they stop everything in behind. So these boxes go around in every town facility, and they build an encrypted tunnel back to here, so everything's on the same network. So it's quite seamless. It's important to have decent equipment there that's monitored, that's that's managed properly. So now that Netigo is not doing that, and they were supposed to be done long ago, from what they were told to tell us, but Netigo's been gracious to kind of carry it along, but they're getting kind of their hand forced to drop all that, the good service that Netigo used to provide to everybody, as a full service company, but now TELUS is stopping that, and they are full TELUS now. So, yeah, and then the savings is worth it to try to push it forward to get it done sooner than later. I can't remember exactly what the quote was, how much.
I think it was
Significant enough anyways.
14 to could drop to 11 something. We just acted quickly, and we got an extra 2 years, and then of course there will be some little bit of installation charges to have them all installed in our facilities. And my understanding that there isn't much value in the old equipment.
No, and it's not really proprietary, but it's not common stuff that other people would be able to manage. And they had to go install and looked after. It was good, they knew how to manage it, but it's not a common piece of hardware.
So the second request I have is to increase the contracted repairs budget in the amount of 13.5 for repairs to the building air handling units in the Public Works building. So we've had them inspected. We have a number of units that have failed or are in the process of failing and needed work to be done. I've kind of held off the Public Works guys from getting the work done, hoping that as we move forward through the end of the year, that there would be some money available in the budget, but the contracted repairs budget has been expended. So we would like to move these forward sooner than later. The two options that make it attractive at this point is when council approved the 2023 operating budget, there was a significant surplus. So we have the dollars available in our 2023 operating surplus. And the second requirement or second rationale for bringing them forward to earlier is that working through the 2024 to 2026 budget process, it's not looking great shape. So there's going to have to be some significant cuts to it to bring it in line. So at that point, this would be a request for that we could move forward and use it up 23, get it done sooner and better. The longer we go without the air handling units functioning better, susceptible to more damage and more failures. So.
Councilwoman,
What are the air handling units? Is that like graders and the?
No,
big
it's the
trucks or-
rooftop vent system, the ventilation
Oh,
system.
air
For the building,
handling, okay,
yeah.
I was
So
thinking air brakes.
They do two things. They actually also provide heat when they're running properly. So if the boilers were to go down, air handling, or if we have a leak in the boiler, the air handling would actually give enough heat in the building to keep things warm enough, they wouldn't freeze. So it's like in our wash bay, so it keeps the mold and the corrosion, humidity, and our welding room, or the shop area with the exhaust fumes. From
Just keeps the air fresh and healthy for staff. Thank you. I had a football.
any other questions? Concerns? Hearing none,
The time.
hearing none, recommend motion to council amend the 2023 operating budget with the following changes that with funds derived from the 2023 operating budget surplus. Number one, increase the administrative professional services budget in the amount of $16,000 to allow for the purchase and installation of a new gateway equipment for all the town Hanna facilities, 9 of them in total. Second of all, increase the common service contract repair budget, the amount of $13,500 for the required repairs to the building air handling units at the Public Works building. Councilor Murphy, all in favor? Carried.
You'll have to come out of your pay.
Oh boy, Kyle.
There's a lot.
Councilor Olson.
So, Mr. Mayor, we do have before you land use bylaw 1032/2023 for third reading. As you will see in the recommended motion, there are 14 motions of amendment based on some feedback from Councilor Olson at the last meeting and approval from council to look at those respective items. So just as a refresher for you, motion, one of the two motions that was passed was to review the rear yard setback in all non-residential districts with the intent to amend from 6 meters to 2 meters and provide a report and recommendation to council prior to third reading of the land use bylaw. So in your background, there is the table with the various districts from CT to UR. basically, in discussions with Palliser, administration is recommending that, and are part of the amendments to move forward with amending the rear yard setback in would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the districts. So the CT district, the C1 district, the C2 district, the heavy commercial district, the industrial district, but not recommending 2 meters in the CS district or the UR district. So those amendments are brought forward, basically 1 to 5 on the motion list. Number 6, there was discussion about changing the definition of livestock, or sorry, auction facility. So we did talk about having an auction facility definition with no livestock. So that's a motion that is brought forward, as well as the actual new motion for auction facility, no livestock. The rest of the amendments, as were approved at the last meeting, was basically to change a number of the discretionary use items in the industrial district to permitted. So that was auction facility, car wash, equipment rental shop, gas bar and service station, manufacturing heavy, print shop, recycling depot, self-storage facility, and wrecker and salvage. So upon review, Palliser administration have recommended that those be moved to permitted use with the exception of wrecker and salvage. And the reason for wrecker and salvage, to keep it in discretionary use, is we know that can be loud, that can be bother nearby residents, etc. Typically, most of the work in a wrecker and salvage is outdoors. And we do have some industrial properties along Railway Avenue that if we included this as a permitted use, they could start doing wrecker and salvage, and there would be residential properties right across the back alley. So we've seen it as not a fit there, but a fit in the other industrial district. So we're recommending that wrecker and salvage remain discretionary, but the other uses that were brought forward would be moved into permitted uses. And I think that's it, unless there's any questions before we start going through the amended motions. Councilor Olson, did we catch everything that you're?
Yep.
Okay.
Being attacked here.
Good.
So if there's no more questions on those, we can start the process. And again, it's important to vote on each and every one, because as a suite of amendments, someone might agree with 14 of the 15, but not the 15th. So I know it's a little longer process, but at least everyone gets an opportunity to vote on each amended motion. So.
That's what.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to make clarification in regards to these bylaws before voting on them, that they can still be amended or changed through due process of first, second, and third reading at any given time. So if in fact we instate these bylaws through the action and motion now, if at some point in time in a month, when we're reviewing them and we feel like they don't support our community and our citizens, we can bring them back to the table and reconsider what they look like. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
The land use bylaw can be amended at any time. There, as you said, the keyword was due process.
Right.
So it's not something that we would come to a council meeting and we would approve that night.
And I
It's one that, would have to follow through the steps of first reading, public engagement, advertising prior to second and third reading. So, but each and every thing can be reviewed and amended upon council's wishes.
So not written in stone.
Right.
Correct.
Any questions, concerns? First motion, Section 19.4.5 is amended to read the minimum rear yard setback is 2 meters, 6.6 feet. Counselor Olson? All in favor? Carried. Number 2. Section 20.4.5 is amended to read the minimum rear yard setback is 2 meters, 6.6 feet. Motion, Counselor Murphy? All in favor? Carried. Number 3, section 21.4.5 is amended to read the minimum rear yard setback of 2.0 meters, 6.6 feet. Motion,
Your arm's not out far enough, Council.
no, sorry. All in favor? Carried. Number 4, section 22.4.4 amended to read minimum rear yard setback of 2 meters, 6.6 feet. Motion. Councilor Cole, all in favor? Carried. 23.4.5 to read a minimum rear yard setback of 2.0 meters or 6.6 feet. Motion. Councilor Warwick, all in favor? Carried. Number 6, 23.2.1 is amended by adding auction facility, no livestock to the list of permitted uses. Motion. Councilor Cole, all in favor? Carried. Number 7, 27.11 amended by adding the new use of definition of auction facility, no livestock means every use intended for the auctioneering of goods and equipment that may include temporary storage of such goods, but this does not include auctioneering of or holding of livestock. Councilor Bolden, all in favor? Carried. Section 23.2 is amended by adding car wash to the list of permitted uses. And section 23.31 is amended deleting car washes from the list of discretionary uses. Motion. Councilor Murphy, all in favor? Carried. Number 9, section 23.2.1 is amended by adding equipment rental shop to the list of permitted uses. And section 23.31 amended deleting equipment rental shop from discretionary uses. Motion, Councilor Thorough, all in favor? Carried. Number 10, 23.2.1 amended by adding gas bar and service station to the list of permitted uses. And section 23.1 amended by deleting gas bar and service station from discretionary use. Motion, Councilor Olson, all in favor? Carried. Number 11, section 23.2.1 amended by adding manufacturing heavy to the list of permitted uses, and section 23.31 amended by deleting manufacturing heavy uses from the list of discretionary uses. Motion, Councilor Cole, all in favor? Carried. Number 12, section 23.2.1 amended by adding print shop to the list of permitted uses, and section 23.31 is amended by deleting print shop from discretionary uses. Motion, Councilor Farrell. Carried. We were saving it for you. 23.2.1 amendment adding recycle depot to the list of permitted uses, and section 23.31 amending deleting recycle depot from the list of discretionary uses. Motion. Councilor Warwick, all in favor? Carried. Section 23.2.1 amended by adding self-storage facilities to the list of permitted uses, in section 23.3.1 amended by deleting self-storage facility from the list of discretionary uses. Motion. Councilor Farrell, all in favor? Carried.
So, Mr. Mayor, prior to moving on to third reading of the proposed land use bylaw, just wanted to reiterate if there was anything else council wish to bring up in regards to amendments that they wish to bring forward at this time.
Counselor Crowe?
And like solar power plant, where is that sitting right now? Like, is it permitted in urban residential?
So right now, solar power plant, which it's in urban reserve, and it's listed as a discretionary use in urban reserve. And that's the only district it's listed in, and it's listed as a discretionary use.
So what if we remove it from discretionary?
So my understanding, and Tracy, correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding would be if we removed it from discretionary, as a discretionary use, then there's no zone, there's no district for a solar power plant in town of Hanna. That doesn't mean that the AUC will choose not to put one in that district. But we will have no district that legally permits it according to our land use bylaw, but we know the AUC process trumps our land use bylaw. The rationale for why we left it in there, following discussion after the public hearing, was that by having it listed as a discretionary use in urban reserve, if the AUC does approve a solar power plant in the urban reserve district, this allows us to go to the developer and request a development permit because it is listed as a discretionary use. And as a discretionary use, that means council could then put conditions on the development permit, i.e. screening, i.e. trees, i.e. road network. Am I missing anything in terms of conditions? We certainly couldn't put a condition, far-fetched, erroneous one that it would be covered in a dome or anything, but we could put some of those conditions in a development permit if it was discretionary. If it's not listed, we don't have the opportunity to issue a development permit and with any conditions. And did I capture that accurately?
Yeah, so one of the main things is because it's urban reserve, you typically don't have roads and utilities going out there. And so if they need to construct a new road, and it's gonna become even a municipal road at all, the only way to have that secured through a development agreement is by issuing a development permit. So you need to have a development permit to be able to secure certain things like road construction to certain standards, getting securities to make sure that the road is constructed to municipal standards. Because typically these areas, they may not have roads going to them, municipal roads.
What about setback? Can that be?
So the AUC will issue a decision, and typically they would put something in about setbacks. So a development permit, you have to issue an approval for a development permit that's in line with any AUC decision. So if the AUC says the setback will be this, you can't issue a development permit that says something different. You have to issue a development permit in compliance with anything that's covered in the AUC. If the AUC doesn't talk about roads and how municipal roads are constructed, you can put that as a condition in a development permit.
So can that development permit be declined?
No, well, you could, but you would end up at the Land and Property Rights Tribunal, and they would, within a very quick period of time, quash that decision and tell the municipality to issue it. And that just happened very recently.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're very quick at slapping wrists and saying, this is the decision we issued, you must issue a permit that's in line with this.
We certainly, I think council understands the sentiment of not having it listed anywhere in there, and if we don't have it listed, then does that mean we are, or portraying, that we are anti-solar or anti-renewable? But in hindsight, as Tracy explained, there might be some valid reasons for having it in discretionary in terms of being able to get some conditions that would better suit the built environment once the AUC has, if the AUC does provide approval. So it's another step. Again, I know Councilor Murphy's not happy that someone else is in control of the situation.
We're Albertans, you know, it's just not our way.
That's what, I mean, that's what it's coming right down to,
Yep.
like, we got no control,
None.
no matter what we,
Very little, but
you know, I mean, so.
Leaving it discretionary gives us just that little window of opportunity to try to put some conditions in.
Yeah.
Where otherwise we wouldn't have them.
And that's actually very appreciated because we have had a lot of residents say, well, you added it into the land use bylaw, obviously you want, and it's
right,
like,
yeah.
we,
But
the not in our backyard part makes you wanna say, we take it out completely, but then we have no control. At least this way, maybe we'll get a road out of it, or plants.
Or some different screening.
Different
or
screening or something.
Additional screening, additional fencing,
Well, what about just, we're not in favor of it, period, of it being within our municipality? And do the arguments or whatever that we don't want this. They've got all sorts of land, that shitty land, pardon my French, that they could go build on. But they choose it right beside our airport, right within our municipality. And yeah, not in their backyard, but they want it in our backyard.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck?
The council
don't-
gets to speak to that as an opponent if you want to be, right?
As an intervener.
As an intervener,
once the
sorry.
But you
application.
have to have the argument, you have to have, of course, it's gotta be, you know, thought out and with some actual professionalism and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But if they were to build in special areas within some other, where the land is not agricultural land, then they could do it anywhere and everybody would benefit within special areas.
Yeah.
Given that we have such a good relationship with special areas.
We benefit anything that special areas benefit from. you
But
know.
put it somewhere where it's not right in your line of vision and right,
Backyard.
not in someone's backyard or across the road or whatever. And sorry, I'm not talking to you like it's your fault or you're the source or anything.
But-
Sorry, I wish I
Just
could
get-
do
I
something
know,
for you, but,
But, yeah, and it's just ridiculous. And actually, you know, the fact that this is going to PACE and everything, you have to register. So you guys, if you're planning on going, make sure you go to their website and register to go.
Oh, you
And-
can't just show.
No, you
oh,
can't. You have to go to their
Of course.
Harvest Sky
Yeah,
site.
of course, they won't.
So I think there were
Control.
numbers, but I'm sorry, I'm getting everything off topic and everything else, but I just had to get that out.
No, and ultimately at the end of the day, as I've said to council, let the process play out. And when the information is out there, like my understanding on November 18th, they will be putting their presentation forward with their last reiteration of design and style before they submit they have not submitted anything to the AUC at this point, so there's nothing that we can argue to the AUC until that application is made. But once the application is made, council has every opportunity to basically provide their thoughts and opinions on the site, on what it's there. And if council decides to say, no, we do not want this located on those lands, that is the prerogative of council to do that. Obviously, as you said, you'd want to put your substantiated reasons why, and put that forward and argue your case, to the AUC.
So why can't AUC be presented with something, a letter of refusal already before they even get an application from the
Because they need the application or there's nothing there.
Yeah.
There's no project until the application is submitted.
The other thing to remember is by adding it as discretionary, that development permit wouldn't happen until after you've had a chance as an intervener status. You'd have already made your case as a council if you're against it. And then if they rule that no, it's gonna go ahead, then they gotta come for the development permit. It gives us a last chance to put some conditions in. They wouldn't come for the permit first and then you guys would get the kick at it before myself when it would go to MPC because it's a discretionary use, so it has to go to MPC. And for MPC to deal with it, so. Kind of a last resort to try to put some conditions on something that you may have opposed to start with.
So 5 people that sit on NPC is going to make that decision whether we get it or not.
No,
Know whether you make conditions, say you want to put 30-foot high trees along the road, along the property lines, so you can't see the panels when driving down the road, or you want a 20-foot high screen fence like we have out at the other end of town. Whatever those conditions may be, roads saying no, you can't just have a trail, you gotta build a proper service road to it, and municipal protections possibly in there as to, does it have proper fire lanes to get in to do firefighting? There's a lot of conditions you can try to put in.
And the Canadian Transportation Safety Board, I apologize if I used the wrong, for airline industry, would that not trump the AUC?
The problem is with that, I've got good information from some of the pilots, their latest presentation, the big thing is glare. So they sat down with the pilots and they had their evaluation of it. They started with eliminating yellow glare, then the conversation changed to reduce yellow glare, which is a big concern. Claude himself said, well, if it's bad, wear sunglasses. I thought that was a real idea. Obviously that doesn't work. Polarized glasses, I've been in those planes and he showed me, you put one on, your glass,
You lose your.
even in a
You see a menu.
early
at a restaurant.
60s plane,
Yeah,
like any of the glass instruments you've replaced are no longer usable, let alone anything last 10 years. So now they're yellow glare through their evaluation. This is from PACE. There's 2 hours every day when you fly your circuit over that paved runway where you get glare bad enough that when you look away, you see spots. Hanna will be, I hope not, but the potential, Hanna would be the first airport with solar panels around it, like ever, that's not controlled. They keep using these examples, but they're controlled airspaces that have somebody running the flights that tell you what elevation, what direction. So this is a big concern that we are gonna be the example.
Yeah, but we don't want to be that kind of an example.
Exactly, hence the more.
It'll just start more and more, I'm sorry.
one loss of life will be a really bad day.
Yeah, no, it's a terrible spot. We don't have to be anti-solar, we have to be anti-solar around airports.
I know I'm not allowed to speak, and you can ask me something, but they've already asked your town council for a letter of support, so when, Sandra says, please. So in one of your town, in one of the information meetings, watch the videos, and Sandra says we can, no, they've asked for letter of
I
support.
don't think we've given them.
No, I'm just saying, when you said, can we just write a letter of non-support? If they're asking for a letter of support to help them through, I don't understand why you can't do a letter of non-support.
Mr.
That's
Mayor, but
what-
they'd have to register.
I just wanna, I know that this is the wrong timing because we're dealing with land use bylaws right now. But after this is over, I am going to present a motion that is going to be, directed to PACE. That our administration would write a letter in opposition or non-concurrence of PACE locating their solar project in the designated location that PACE has proposed. So I'm just saying that that's the motion I'm going to be bringing forward after we're done with land use.
Can we
bylaws.
expand that to within town limits?
We can work on it when the time comes.
Okay, I have a concern that just kind of rolled around. That land has been leased. The long-term lease agreement is in place. Are we opening ourselves up to litigation? Potentially?
There's always potential.
No, I'm asking,
I don't believe so, Mr. Mayor.
yeah, I don't know, I just something.
I believe I would be, and I don't know for a fact, but I would be surprised if case in their lease documents don't have an option to
Hello.
out of the lease agreement if the project does not go forward.
But the landowners could sue us. Don't you think? But the same reason we don't want the, panels there would be the same
Yeah.
reason we don't, would be our defense in that sort of system,
Yeah.
is that it has an impact on our community and they do not live in our community.
Yeah.
No, council has to make decisions for the greater good of the community.
Well, they
not
have
for
been seeking
individuals.
our approval, from what I understand. In the meetings, they made it very clear that they would like the town of Hanna to support them in this
Oh,
process.
100%.
And I'm saying that we need a motion on the table that we're gonna say, one way or another, it's gonna determine whether this council supports, what PACE is about to do, the process.
And not at the cost of our airport, regardless of, and anybody that's utilizing it. It's an asset to our community to have, that could be expanded on and developed. And I think that's too much of a risk to
It's a huge
even
risk.
consider. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So I believe Councillor Kroll had a motion on the floor.
Yeah.
To remove solar power plant as a discretionary use in the urban reserve district.
That was Kroll, Council Kroll.
Is that correct, Councillor Kroll? We got that right?
All in favor?
Well,
Opposed? Defeated?
Anything else prior to moving on to third reading that council will have in terms of the land use bylaw?
Seeing none. Motion that council give third reading to proposed land use bylaw 10/32/2023 as amended. Councilor Murphy,
We're brave, we did it.
all in favor?
Did you want to record? No, okay.
Okay, all in favor again, sorry. Opposed? Carried.
Finally,
Congratulations, you have a new land use bylaw. In effect.
Excellent work.
after,
Thanks for all your work,
thank
Tracy.
you very much.
Thanks you guys for being so engaged and the public for being so engaged. And it's not perfect and we will be doing amendments and updates to it. It's a living document. So.
Thank
See
you.
you guys soon, I'm sure.
With the next project, come back. Thank you. I thought it was gonna be.
Take a quick,
End of the meeting?
take a quick recess.
Sure. Please.
No question.
no, I was just gonna, so when does Angie make her
I'm
motion?
going to right after this, I'm gonna ask to make a motion.
We can
Good to go. Council reports. Council Paul, you got yours there?
Yeah.
Anything to add?
No, I'd just like to maybe elaborate on the Vets Memorial Highway Association. We lost our chairperson,
Who was that?
Margaret Tree from Vauxhall. She was a counselor in Vauxhall for 10 years and she couldn't get proper decisions, I guess, or whatever, so she resigned. And when she resigned from Vauxhall, then she's gone from Vets Memorial. So she was very good, like, very, very good. Order and very informative.
Council Bowden, I see you've got yours attached. Anything to add?
I do, just regarding the pace that I was actually embarrassed at the last presentation that Pace made. I was embarrassed of our residents. I think we can disagree with something and be respectful and courteous and everything else than cutting them off, making other comments and that sort of thing. So I think that would have a better impact on the whole process of not agreeing with them, is if we can do it in a respectful, courteous, professional type manner. And otherwise, because people's actions reflect on all of us, my own as well. So that is what my only one request is, that we can do it with respect, to disagree with Pace if that's what we wish, and not have it blown out of proportion and be a real awful situation.
Council Warwick,
Yes, I have, on Thursday morning, we have, our Community Futures meeting, and then on Friday, we have, our PEP executive meeting in the Dunmore region, this week, so, and outside of that, I don't have anything to report, because I haven't been around for, the last little bit of time, so, and I don't know if this is the right time or not, but, I'm going to be presenting a motion,
yeah,
and can I do
we'll
that
catch you right
at the end of
after
this?
this. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So Councilor Warwick, question. So the next PEP general meeting is December 8th then? Is that
December
correct?
8th,
And
that's-
the location is not Hanna now, correct?
No, they have changed. I asked for a change in location simply because I was not going to be here to help facilitate it in any way. So they did make the changes, I understand. I wasn't at the last meeting, but Vern, did they quantify that at the last meeting, that would be, I think that they were going to move it to Dunmore.
Okay,
That's, yeah,
so we don't have a date then yet,
March meeting.
yeah.
the March meeting, okay.
And I'll bring that back after this,
Okay.
after the executive meeting on Friday.
Okay.
Sorry, I
That's okay.
will clarify that. I've asked for it to be held in the spring of the year, so it will probably be March. From what
Okay,
I
in the
understand.
past, we have held them in the fire hall,
Okay,
but there are other options too, so
okay,
just as long as, once you have a date, we'll make sure we have the facility. Generally, in the past, it's been our responsibility to arrange for a caterer
yes,
and all of those things, so.
okay,
But once you know the date, then let me know and we can start thinking about plans for it.
perfect, great, thank you.
Council Olson,
Apologies for my shameful 3-month streak of not submitting a report.
I'll let it happen again.
I won't. Fire me if it does. The golf course, we've gone, I think, 5 or 6 years now of pool league operating in there. Keeps the lights on. I don't think we even break even, but it keeps traffic in the building, keeps the mice away, rotates a bit of beer stock. Our fall AGM's coming up November 30th. Overall, again, was a good year. I'm sure we'll find out more then. Palliser AGM's coming up also at the end of the month. The past 6-7 weeks, Palliser staff have been all over the place for their open houses, for whether it's land use bylaw, area structure plans, lots of big documents out that, just like ours, been going on for a year. Staffing, at last AGM, we talked about hiring 2 positions and passed different increases in fees to get more staff. It's been the same struggle as many places. We had a perfect candidate hired, verbally accepted, and then they took a job elsewhere. So there has been some changes, safety codes, some work there. Yeah, things are gonna ramp up there.
So just, we just found out earlier last week, maybe, so Counselor Olson can correct me if I'm wrong, but, the, safety codes people, building codes people, if you wanted a building permit, basically you could get the forms, download the forms, but they had to go to Drumheller. The individual who was managing it for Palliser, who also worked for the town of Drumheller, is now, finished with the town of Drumheller and has, relocated and is operating most of the time out of the Hanna office, so.
Yep.
For our locals, it's a great win
that's
for our
awesome.
locals, if they have building permit questions or want to turn it in there, they can just go here, they don't have to have that extra step in between.
So it was a contract of, don't quote me, $75,000 a year to have all safety permits handled through Drum, their safety codes. It's almost a wash to bring her here. And she's still doing a backlog. So Superior is still handling all of them right now, I believe until January, and then she'll take them on from there, but it's, safety codes is a big revenue stream for Palliser.
Okay, so I thought that was that for the town of Hanna, that was a win. That was a
Big
good
win.
news.
Yeah.
That's huge. Yeah.
It's gonna help it being all in one umbrella. It's kind of awkward sometimes when it was within the town of Drumheller, that one piece was being dealt with, so.
Yeah.
I think it's a good move.
Good news.
Councilor Murphy?
I've had a couple of Hanna Lodge meetings last month, policy and just the regular meetings. We're still doing what we do. Haven't had a library meeting just from scheduling. They've done it for the end of November. I have a Marigold virtual meeting on the 18th. So that's about it, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Carroll?
Haven't done a heck of a lot because our meetings are coming up at the end of the month at the service board. And then our waste management one is in December.
I took in a couple of our Remembrance Day ceremonies in one of the school. We do a bang up job there. You want to see a bunch of young football players there, very self-confident, nervously holding onto the flags and making sure that they don't drop them, and just ultimate attention paid. Was a really good service, and I went to the one at the Legion and got some feedback today. We have a couple of US military veterans working on the wind turbine projects, and they were very impressed and welcomed at the ceremony at the Legion. The one young fella I invited, he invited another worker that they worked with. They both stopped by the shop today and wanted to reach out to the Legion and show their support. So John and crew did a bang up job again at the Legion. So other than that, I've got a Water Commission, a Ranger Municipal Users Group meeting on Thursday, which Councilor Farrell's gonna cover for me. And yeah, everything seems to be going well. The wind turbines, based on conversation, it's going to be the Cactus Corner laying down yard is filling again for the next project. It's something that doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. So the conversation I had about a year and a half ago with one of the guys was there could be as many as 550 windmills within 50 miles of Hanna in 5 years. So if that's true, this work's gonna go on for a long time. The last batch of towers that came into the Cactus Corner unit went back down to Lethbridge. Come all the way up here, got stationed and went all the way back to Lethbridge, so. But it's a huge plus for the town. I mean, the Painter project I estimated there'd be about 50 guys, 50 people, living in Hanna and commuting all the way up to the Baycare site, which is up to, well, just about up to Castor and well west of Castor. So there's about 50 people traveling on a daily basis from here. So it's a huge economic plus in the town. So other than that, that's all I've got. So a motion to accept council reports for information. Council Thorold, all in favor? Carried. Council Warwick.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just in reviewing the conversations around the Pace Solar Farm, I just feel like there may be some jeopardizing of our essential services and the fixed wing air ambulance, amongst a few other things, the jurisdiction of that solar farm. So I'm asking to put this motion on the table. And it's going to read, it's going to be a letter to Pace. And the motion will be that administration, we could direct administration to write a letter in opposition or non-concurrence of Pace locating their Harvest Sky Post Solar Farm project in the designated location that Pace has proposed. So I'm speaking in opposition. We're asking the administration if they would construct a letter based on, you know, I guess by motion we'll decide whether we accept or decline. But if we do, then I think it's time for us to be proactive in positioning ourselves with how we feel that this project should, where we stand with this project.
Okay, you got the motion, Logan?
Discussion.
Is there
Well, just see if there's any
Discussion, sorry.
discussion.
Dave's got something to say.
Fred's reading my eyes like this.
Yeah.
I think that's great that you're opposing it. Just if your motion or if your letter's just saying you oppose where it is, if they move it at all, then you're gonna have to do it again. I think if you're concerned about the airport, that the letter should state that it stays X amount of meters, quarter mile, whatever, away from the airport. That's our
Outside
concern.
town limits.
Whatever you, I'm just saying to say just to move it, they can move it 500 yards over and they've met the condition of your request. That's my only.
We can't do anything about it anyways if it's 30 meters over.
I would just,
Unfortunately.
if the airport's the issue, I would put we don't want to see it within a half mile of our airport.
I don't know if that's the only, I don't know if that's the only issue,
Yeah.
only rationale for opposition of it, but
I find it really important that it would say that the town council and its residents are not opposed to green initiatives that are beneficial to the residents of Hanna. But jeopardizing certainly the flights in and out is just a huge issue. And that's the one I think we can sink our teeth in the most is the airport. We can say they're ugly, we don't like them, you're not gonna have sheep grazing because we've never had sheep there before. We could come up with all sorts of other stuff and they'll poo-poo you. But it is the only airport in North America that's gonna have so close to
the
these
only
flights.
uncontrolled.
Uncontrolled, my apologies. And that in of itself is a risk. Right now, if that plane skirts off the edge of the runway, it lands in a field and goes, oh, that was close. With those solar panels, they will die. They will get killed because they're gonna hit equipment and it's just a mess. So I think you could sink your teeth in more if you focus directly on the airport, even though there could be other reasons. But I think putting reasons is important.
Well, I'd like to have quality of life as well.
Just flat. You done? No, I got flashed in the eye like 3 times.
Mr. Mayor, this is a letter to direct administration to write the letter in opposition, which could indicate all those other, whatever has come to the surface. It could be a part and parcel of that letter.
I guess the only concern I have, Counselor Warwick, is certainly don't mind drafting the letter, but certainly want to make
Direction.
sure that my letter reflects what council wants it to say. And so the more direction you can provide in that regard, the easier it is to feel comfortable that I'm putting the letter together that meets what you guys want, so.
And I think that's due process. So this is to put the wheels in motion,
Okay,
to present the letter. This motion is either gonna pass or be defeated, whether we go forward to do this. After we get the letter constructed, then it comes back here. And then we approve the letter to go
Okay,
forward
so-
basis. That's
so the
how I
motion.
see the process.
Okay, if that's how you want to go, I think the motion should be that administration be directed to
Propose.
to draft a letter regarding council's non-concurrence with the PACE solar project in the town of Hanna to be brought back to council for their approval at the next meeting. Is that,
We can add that in the
Is
end.
that-
That's
is
a
that-
friendly
but
amendment.
is that
Yes.
what your intention
Yes,
was?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, because I think we need to, I think there's a lot, everybody has their ideas of, you know, where the PACE solar project is not fitting well within our community. So in order to do that, I think we need to have that in that letter.
Okay, from your first motion, my thought was I was drafting a letter. It was going out in non-concurrence, but I feel more comfortable that it's coming back to council for your approval, because then if I haven't quite captured everything, then it can be amended before it goes out, because without that, I send it out, and you guys go, well, that's not exactly how I wanted it. So it delays the process by a month, but at least.
That's fine.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
Okay.
That's not a
Yeah.
problem, and I don't see that as a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's,
And I'd like to see, yeah.
And I think we've gotten honestly enough information in emails, that it's probably not gonna be a problem for you to construct that letter with all the details that have been in some
No,
of those emails.
but
Yes,
to capture the essence of what you
yes,
want.
I support that. Thank you.
I appreciate the opportunity that it comes back, so you guys can say yay or nay, or let's tweak this, so.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Warwick, for doing that, because, you know, it's hard to know what everybody else is thinking until we actually talk about it further and see, are we in favor or not? And I think at this next meeting on Saturday, then we'll have some idea of what their studies or whatever were, talking to residents. We haven't had a chance to hear from all of the residents, right?
Okay, no, that's perfect, yeah.
Okay. We have a motion, an amended motion on the floor. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Correspondence. Anything jump off the table?
The only thing that I wanted to bring to council's attention is just the letter from Mark Nakota about housing. So that was a letter that Mark sent out to a number of community groups and agencies. When I talked with Mark, I said certainly I would be willing to sit on that committee, as would thought it was appropriate Dave's to sit on that committee. But Mark did also indicate to me that if there was interest from members of council to sit on that working group. So when I get a date and time for that meeting, I will forward it on to council, and the invitation is open if you wish to attend that meeting. So I don't have a date or a time at this point, so.
Anything else for anyone? Councilor Crowe?
I'm just thinking that I will probably be involved with this, like, we've met with
Yeah.
Mark and, you know, as a group met, so. I think I'm probably already, you know, hopefully involved with it.
Yeah, well, but when I get a date and time, you'll all have it. So.
Yeah.
Also accept correspondence items 12.01 to 12.05 for information. Councilor Bowden. Favor? Carried. Closed session, would you like to shut down?
Thank you, ladies.
Just the nudges and 1%.
Also,
Go to end.